This is Guitarist Denis Taaffe, and I'm in my home studio, and we're going to be taking a look at the making of my 280th album, Modern Rock Guitar Volume 280, Valley of the Kings. And I'm really pleased with this album. And I always try to do something different, from each album and try to grow, and evolve from album to album. And it came pretty easily to me. Some albums are more difficult than others. And this one came about with no problems at all. And what I really like about it is that I used some new sounds. And in fact, some of the sounds were made while the album was being recorded. A lot of it from the Eventide H9 Max. And I hadn't done that in a while. I had relied on my presets only. And I had, done ahead of time and used on countless albums prior. And I still use them, but I use some new sounds as well. And I'm very pleased with the results there. So this was really an effortless album to make, and those are usually the ones that are better than the ones I really have to struggle with. Okay. And let's talk about the album cover, which I like as well. It's just a picture I liked very nicely. I added a little picture of myself and a guitar, and it's called Valley of the Kings. Of course, Valley of the Kings is, the Egyptians would bury their kings there, their pharaohs, and so on. Okay. Yeah, and I really like this album. I think the musical ideas are very solid. For those who aren't familiar with my music, I play guitar, and I use guitar loops done on the fly, which means as I'm playing something, I have a pedal board and I can record a little part of what I'm playing and have it start to loop and play back. And then I can add more loops, layers, if you like, on top of it. I also emulate bass on guitar by playing the bass part on guitar, dropping it an octave, and looping it as well. And all my tracks, all my music, every song is improvised on the spot. And basically the way that works is I start out with an idea and listen back while it's playing and try to come up with complementing ideas. And by doing that, after you do it for a while, it's very easy to guide a track in a certain direction, musical direction. And I don't add overdubs afterwards and so on. And what you hear on the CD or on the album is actually what I hear in the studio as well. You may ask, well, then how do you know when a track is over? I usually know when a track is over when I get sick of doing it, or I make a mistake that's so blatant, or hit a wrong note or something, and then I know, hey, that's it, it's time to move on. That's why it's always fun for me to do new albums and to see what direction they go in. Because it's not things that are worked out ahead of time. It's a lot of fun. And musically, you get those magic moments that you would never be able to do had you worked the items before, the musical ideas beforehand. So let's begin with the first track. And I like this track very much. And it's called Tombs. And you'll hear some of these new sounds that I had begun using. And some of them, I'll tell you which one were just for this album, just on the spot. Now, hey, that's kind of a neat sound. Let's see what we can do with it. So let's take a listen to that. We'll go track by track. Here we go. There's a typical pattern playing. And obviously that low sound, bass type sound is one of those new sounds. Almost sounds like a keyboard kind of. And it's actually one of those Eventide pitch shifters. And so I had created a preset. And I thought, wow, that's kind of a neat sound. Let's see where it goes from there. There's another new sound. It's kind of a very long decay delay on there. So you'll hear that those fills, which is what they are kind of, very much in the distance, creating atmosphere, mood, if you like. Yeah, see how long the decay is there. Yeah. Okay. It's a long track, so let's move it to about 7 minutes, 22 seconds. Okay. I very much have film soundtrack in mind. Yeah, there's a new sound as well. The other thing is, the last album, Volume 279, I had used a tube amp. I swapped out a Albion amp, which is what I usually use, 2 in stereo, with a PV tube amp. And here I went back to the Albion, and honestly, for me, it was like finding an old friend. It was just has a really smooth sound. On the tube amp is a different kind of sound. It's more aggressive, and the pattern playing is more accented, if you like, just from the fact of it being a tube amp. So it's a good sound as well. It's just a really clean kind of sound. Okay, let's move on to track 2, called Egypt. And unlike a song like Walk Like the Egyptians or something, it's not that kind of thing at all. Okay, it's just to fit in the title with the album. Okay, it's 5 minutes, 51 seconds. Let's hear that one. And there's a new sound as well. And this one is pitch shifter again, if you can hear it. So I started looping that and listening, thinking, okay, well, what would work with that? And I tried out some different things, you'll see here. So that's the basis of what I worked from. There's a new sound as well. It's also pitch shifted sound. Almost like an octave type sound. I very much like the mood and atmosphere this creates. Okay, let's fast forward that a bit. 4 minute 23 seconds, or 4 minutes 37. Here you go. There's a pattern playing. We're just repeating patterns with a delay. I really like that sound. I use it all the time. Probably too much. And very much kind of sounds like you would hear in a John Carpenter film. You know, if you listen to the old Escape from New York soundtrack, it's similar, that kind of octave type sound, the pitch shifted sound, excuse me. Okay, now let's move on to track 3 called Pyramids. Okay, and this is a long track, it's 11 minutes. Let's take a listen to that one. Okay, there's a new sound as well. And that's from the H9 Max Eventide pedal. And also has a pitch shifter in it. There's that little deviation in the rhythm, and that's where the loop starts. I've already looped it, and now I'm playing little riffs above it, using that same sound. Okay, and let's fast forward to the 5-minute mark. Notice there I've added the bass, emulated bass, and pattern playings. And what I like about it is because of those Albion amps. Because those Albion amps are so smooth, the pattern playing kind of melts into the background, really. And it creates kind of a rhythmic bed. Right? Musical bed. Okay. Let's fast forward to 8:15 mark. So there I've got several patterns going at once. Really, this kind of track reminds me very much of Tangerine Dream type of track. They did that soundtrack for Risky Business. In fact, they have a similar sounding track, vaguely similar, but it was a long track as well. And it was called Love on a Train, as I recall. And it was a big part of the movie, and they used the entire song for the movie, which was unusual. Okay, now, here's something very odd. And this track really happened by accident. I was just kind of messing around, trying out different sounds. And it's called Burials. And the original name was Haunted House. And it's 8 minutes long, and it's very experimental. And you'll be able to hear it here. Very different track than I'm used to doing. Yeah, there's that strange chord. Starts out with a minor 7 chord, and then goes to that second chord, which really set the stage for this type of track. I don't know what that second chord would be called. I added a bass line to it here. And musically, I liked it. Just doing something a little different and see where it takes me. Okay. I mean, obviously, it was a minor type chord. I'm not sure exactly what it is. In any case. Alright, here's 5 minutes and 30 seconds. There I've added clean guitar and the chords over the bass line. And there's a little pattern playing underneath. Can I give it some body? And notice the tempo's pretty slow here. Diminished chord, as I recall. Okay. Pretty cool, I think. Musically interesting for me, and I remember, early on I was using different amps and things that were so noisy that there's no way I would have been able to do a slow track without you noticing a ton of amp hiss and so on. And here, it's real clean, which is great. Okay, number 5. It's called Sand. And it's 6 minutes and 23 seconds. And let's take a listen to that one. Oh, geez, yeah. And I really like this track. It's slow, but to me it has some melody to it. If you listen to the very beginning of it, and it fits so well with the previous track. If you take a listen, there's that note. That resolves to the root note right at the beginning here. Yeah. Yeah. Very much like it has kind of an Irish style to it, if you like. Mood and atmosphere, makes playing guitar all worthwhile, for me anyway. And I'm much more excited about a track like this than a track that's got, a million notes going on, a big pyrotechnic solo or what have you. It just moves me just as much, if not more. Getting a little corny. Okay, let's move on to 420. Just a really cool track, I think. I just love that kind of stuff. In fact, I am destined to repair my guitar at some point so I can do swells. You know, right now it says when I do a swells, a lot of times it's scratchy and it ruins the track. So I'm gonna have that pot replaced, and then I can do swells of chords and things, and it sounds kind of like an organ and so on. A lot of cool sounds out of that. Alright, next one is called Pharaohs. And it's 5 minutes, 31 seconds. Let's hear that. There's some new sounds too. Kind of a chorusy, modulated sound on the clean guitar. And so, yeah, all the new sounds were just done on the spur of the moment. And say, hey, it's kind of neat sound. Let's see what we can do with it. Of course, there's the pattern playing. And here you can really hear that kind of chorused sound. Okay, let's fast forward to 3:35. So they're developing that theme. Several layers of different patterns playing. It still has that chorus sound as well. Okay, and it goes on from there. I won't spoil it for you. There's more. Okay, and now we are here to the last track called Dynasties, and let's hear that at 6 minutes, 4 seconds. Yes. Same thing here, a new sound, kind of a phased, clean sound. Gives you a very interesting mood. So this track's kind of experimental too, if you hear it. Yeah, I like that musical change right there. The basic idea, and let's see what I do with it. Let's go to 356. Of course, pattern playing to complement it. Bass I've added as well. Kind of snuck it in there. Gives you a much fuller sound rather than just one guitar playing. Okay, and that's it. That's volume CD 280. Modern Rock Guitar, volume 280. Valley of the Kings. And it's 54 minutes and 8 seconds. 7 tracks. And it's got quite some of the tracks are long. 2 of them are over 10 minutes long. And I really like this album. I think it was a step forward for me, just using those new sounds, developing those new sounds. That is kind of like why I make so many albums, It's always trying to discover, well, what else can I do? What other sounds can I get, What other musical ideas can I explore? And I'm always surprised. And here there's quite a few surprises. and yet it was very simple to record. I was really inspired, and I think what really inspired me was when I switched back to just the Albion amps. It was like, I'm home. So that's definitely the amps for me. It's the sound that works for this kind of style very well. Okay, see you next time.